Welcome to Car Sales Talk 101, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is. Here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Car Sales Talk 101. I'm Terry Cameron. Thanks for hanging out again with me this week. And this week, I want to talk to you a little bit about getting better at what you do. How you go from being a beginner, a newbie, a rookie, to a seasoned professional making seasoned professional wages. But before I do that, I'd like you to hop on over to Apple Podcast, give me a rating, write me a review, send any messages. The young lady at the end of this episode will give you my email address. Shoot me a line, ask a question, tell me what you think, good or bad, and I promise I'll respond as soon as possible. So again, this week I want to talk about getting better. How do you get better at what you're doing right now? There's all kind of professions, and for this to work, for you to actually get better, you have to believe that you are in a profession and you can be a professional. If not, hey, leave it to us other professionals to get those sales that you're not going to make in the future and go find something else to do. I don't mean to sound real harsh, but that's just the facts. You know, insurance salespeople, I think they're kind of at the bottom of the line, somewhere around where salespeople used to be and in some places may still be, as far as trust goes. Insurance salespeople need to take continuing education on a regular basis. And I believe, depending upon what state and what company you work for, it's usually every year you have to have some kind of continuing education. What about doctors? I bet doctors have to have some kind of continuing education. They need to stay up, and to have their A game at all times, because we can't afford for them to start using archaic methods in surgery and how to fix our broken bones and stitch our wounds. We need them to stay up to date, especially in today's trying times. Attorneys, airplane pilots, you name it. They need to stay professional, and they need to stay up to date, and they need to have continuing education. They need that. Otherwise, they're going to be left behind. All the new gadgets, all the new ways of doing things are going to be out there, and they're not going to understand how to use them. They may not even understand the benefit to them. So what about as a car salesperson? What do you have to do? Don't you think you owe it to yourself and your customers and your dealership and possibly your family that you get better at what you're doing? You do something to get better. Now, I get my ideas a lot of times for these episodes based upon either what I hear from my listeners and or what I see on my own showroom floor, and of course what I've seen in the past over the past, I guess it's 31 years now. And I remember, let me ask you guys this. How many of you, show of hands, remember selling cars, being in the car business, let's say 20 years ago, back before the internet was so prevalent? What did we do if we didn't have a smartphone in our hand throughout the day? What did we do to keep ourselves busy? I remember what I did. I followed up. I got really tired of sitting around the dealership waiting for the up. Coming to work to wait, not coming to work. It's tough. And we figured out things to do. We called our customers. We wrote thank you cards. We did everything we can. We didn't have an email. We didn't have the YouTube. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Candy Crush. We didn't have any of that stuff to keep us occupied until that next customer walked through the door. What I see now on the showroom floor, at least at my dealership and other ones that I've worked at, is a lot of people sitting on the floor, sitting at a desk, sitting in their office, doing absolutely nothing productive. Nothing whatsoever. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. I can walk by and stand behind salespeople at my dealership for minutes every single time, watching them look at videos on YouTube and Facebook, things that have nothing to do with their job, their profession, anything that would help them sell a car sooner down the road a bit. It's all entertainment. It's all, what can I do to take up all this space in my day? So at the end of the day, it happens a little bit faster. Let me read you some statistics here. This came from, it's a book called Is America Doomed? And I think you guys can all find this. But here's some real disturbing statistics that I got out of this. 33% of high school graduates never read another book the rest of their lives. 1 out of every 3 graduates do not read a book after they graduate. That's a shame. That really is a shame. 42% of college grads never read another book after college. I mean, how many books did they have to read to get to where they are to graduate from college, and all of a sudden it's not important anymore? 70% of U.S. adults have not been in a bookstore in the last 5 years, and 80% of U.S. families did not buy or read a book last year. You talk about setting an example for your children. Wow. You know, I find these statistics really unbelievable, but they are true. There's a couple other statistics. Let me see if I can find something that kind of stood out to me. Let's see. The younger people are more likely to read than the older people. The higher the education, the more people read. I mean, and that's not surprising. 92% of college graduates say they have read a book in the past year compared to 40% of adults with an education less than high school. That also probably means that they're making more money and possibly even more successful. White people read more than black people, who read more than Hispanics. You have to understand this. The more you learn, the more you earn. The statistics shows that a clear relationship between the average salary and the number of books someone reads is amazing. Printed books are still, by far, the first choice when it comes to reading. You know, not me. I like reading on my Kindle, but it's a book is a book. Although there are some differences that are less pronounced, non-book reading does not vary by gender, age, and community type. So read a book. Do something. I mean, you have to believe that if you read a book on a regular basis that has something to do with your profession and getting you better, you'll get better. There's a book that I read. It's called Read and Grow Rich, and I have to apologize to the author because right offhand, I cannot remember exactly who it is. But in this book, if I can recall, they talk about reading one book a week, and a bunch of these self-help books usually take about a week. They're a large print. The chapters aren't very long, and they're very easy to read in a short amount of time. So they talk about reading one of these books a week. And if you take a couple weeks off for vacation, that means you'll read 50 books in a year. Now, I don't care who you are. If you're reading these books, and they're the right books, I'm not talking about Sports Illustrated. I'm not talking about Playboy. I'm talking about books that are there to help you get better at being yourself, being a better person, be a better salesperson, better manager, managing your time better, maybe even a better family member, a father, a mother. There's books like this are out. And if you're reading these, if you read 50 of them in 1 year, you cannot tell me that you're not going to be smarter and better than you were in the start of the year. It just makes sense. You start to soak a bunch of this stuff in and you get better. And for people in the car business, there are so many books out there, that you can get. And I can name off a few, 4 or 5 of them that are actually free that you can have delivered to you. Not to mention the YouTube videos and all the online training courses that you can take. It's just way too much information out there. And if you're going to sit on the showroom floor, or if you're going to sit at the sales desk and do nothing but shop at Amazon and watch YouTube videos that have nothing to do with your job, you're not going to be successful. And right now, we're in that time where it's really a seller's market. This is mid-June 2021. It's going to end. That horse is going to drop. And if you're not better at what you were when this started, you're just going to completely lose out. And chances are you're not going to be in the business much longer. So take your life and your profession serious. Start reading books. Read books. If you need to know what books to read, send me an email to ask me, and I'll tell you the ones that I read, and I will give you some ideas. But once you get started and you start paying attention, you're going to have a thirst for even more. You're going to want to dig deeper into what you do. And some of the things that don't make sense to you right now will start making sense after you get a little bit more educated and you become the professional that you can be. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me again this week. Remember, the sky's the limit, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please rate it and write a review on Apple Podcast. We appreciate your valuable feedback. You can email Terry at 10minutesalestalk@hot.rr.com. And don't forget to share the show with a friend.